Do you remember doing standardized tests in elementary and middle school? You're sitting in your desk, mentally preparing to be bored as hell, but luckily the test starts out easy. You're filling out personal information, name, date, grade, the basics.
Yeah, some might even say standard. At least one would think.
But there was one question that left many stumped before the test even started.
What's your ethnicity?
Circle one. And for some of us, circling one caused, a heavy breathing and hesitation. Why?
Because it wasn't a real option.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is a symptom of being mixed in America.
I'm Jazmine Jarvis.
And I'm Meagan Kimberly Smith.
The co-creators of Mixed in America, a platform to drive the multiracial conversation forward.
Nice. So that sounds really cute, Jay, but what is Mixed in America? Why should people care? Why do we need the people to know?
Well, we have a lot of goals for this project, but here's our mission: to give multiracial individuals a voice in this fight for equality and allow for a new conversation to be had by sharing their unique perspectives.
That's right. We want to create a platform to connect, share, discuss, and very importantly, question the issues surrounding race and identity. Race and identity. Y'all scared yet? Well, you shouldn't be, because we're hoping to create a space for people to listen, learn, and love. Triple L, baby.
Yes, Meg, you are slaying our hopes and dreams right now.
Thanks, girl.
It's time to unite the people as one while acknowledging and appreciating our beautiful differences.
Amen. Hallelujah.
So let's dive in. What's something that's been on your mind, Meg?
Identity. Identity. I feel like I'm thinking about it all the time, and there's so many questions that identity brings up for me. How do I identify? Who am I identifying for? How do people want me to identify? How do people see me? Who claims me? Which races can rightfully claim me?
Whoa. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack,
I'm feeling a lot, girl. I got a lot of feelings.
So let's just start with the first basic question.
Okay.
How do you identify, Megan?
I identify as mixed.
Okay.
I've a little bit even dabbled with light skinned black girl.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I've been denied a lot in my past from my black roots, so I'm kind of on the opposite end of that, where I'm really trying to embrace my black side, and I want people to know.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts me when people say to me, yeah, but you look so white though.
Yeah.
You're so light bright. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I was recently on a trip with some of my white friends that I grew up with, and one of my best friend's younger sister I was telling her about my boyfriend's mother and how she's racist and kind of connect, trying to open up to her and let her know what I'd been going through as a mixed person. And she was like, that's so weird, but you're so white though, you don't even look black. And I was like, first of all, that's not the point. Second of all, that hurt, you're hurting me in another way. I'm trying to open up to you and talk to you about racism that I experience because I'm half black. And you're over here telling me oh, that's so confusing because you're so...
Sort of denying your experience.
Yes.
In a way.
So much denying of of one side or the other. And I think that is something that I don't want to feel like I'm having to flip a switch and be white, flip a switch and be black. I really want to feel like I can be this whole thing. And it comes with a lot, people, and just because you don't know how to deal with it does not mean I should dim my light.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I would sometimes in conversations go out of my way to show that I was mixed race, you
Yeah.
know? Like, maybe talk about my white mom or talk about my black dad, so that way they know that I can feel that you're already assuming I'm one thing, and I need to let you know. Go out of my way to let you know that I am more than one thing.
Yeah. Oh, and like, especially depending on who the group is. Like,
Right.
usually black people can identify that I'm mixed
Mhm.
because black people tend to like see features and look at
Agreed.
features more than white people tend to just like, in my experience, see the color of my skin and they're like, oh, she's white, or maybe she's like Latina, maybe she's something, but like they usually don't see past the color of my
Right.
skin. But like, I make sure that when I'm in amongst black people that I talk about being black.
Mhm.
I bring up my mom. I bring up that I'm half black. I like will show pictures of my mom, and it's like I find a reason to bring it up. It's
Absolutely.
almost like because I don't feel like they'll think I'm credible.
Right.
Unless I'm like, oh no, homie, like I'm with, like
Yes.
I can hang, like I feel you, like you know what I mean?
Totally,
And
totally.
So it's like, no, I can have this conversation, or it's also like, I won't drop an N-bomb, like unless they
You've already
know I'm
prefaced it.
black. Yes, because I'm
Right.
like people, because like no, I've never had any black people get mad at me if I'm like saying the N-word, like you know, amongst other homies, or like it's a word that we've reclaimed, and that's a whole other topic.
Totally.
But like I grew up with my brother saying it all the time casually, or like amongst other black friends, but like only people that know I'm black.
Right.
So like I won't say the N-word unless people know. And I've noticed it recently, like how interesting, like
I mean, it's definitely, us doing that is just another way for us to fight to be accepted.
Yeah.
It's like we shouldn't have to make sure people know what we are, but we feel obligated to, because we know if they don't, they're just going to go off their assumption.
Yeah.
And their assumption is most likely incorrect.
Yeah. Well, and also I don't want to trigger people.
Right.
Like
Oh,
if
yes.
God forbid a black person doesn't know that I'm half black, and I say something about, you know, my experience as a black person, or I say nigga like casually because I can, and they're like, what what did you just say?
Yeah.
Like,
It's dangerous, honestly.
very
It's
dangerous.
It's a survival skill that we've naturally adapted to protect ourselves, for sure.
Yeah. Well, how about you? How do you identify?
As mixed, for sure, and biracial. Sometimes I will be extra and list all the many cultures that I have within me. You know, oh, I'm French, Italian, Native
too.
American,
Yeah.
you know, African. So they get the full picture. Like, I will go out of my way, instead of just saying black and white. Like, that's not what I just am. I am from a whole array of cultures, many different countries, and I think that anyone can claim to be mixed in that way, because we are from many different cultures, especially in America. We're a melting pot, and so the fact that we're strictly identifying people off what they look like is extremely limiting.
And just
you
not
know.
true.
Absolutely.
Like, I think
Just
that's
incorrect.
That's the worst thing to do. But that's interesting, because like, then how do you feel when like a curious person is straight up like, well, what are you? Like, oh wow, so interesting. Like, you look so like you're so
Okay,
what are
different
you?
situation now. I get offended. I used to get actually offended so quickly by that question, what are you? And I would get very sarcastic and sassy.
Yeah.
I would say, a human being, or I'd lie and be like, oh, I'm and make up some random ass thing like, hey, Shannon Dominican. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, see how easily you believed that? I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
or I'd be like, guess what I am? You know, just to see what I would get. And I would just play with that question, because it kind of infuriated me that it was the first thing that someone thinks of when they look at me. It's like, you're not even looking to get to know me. You're looking to get to know my skin.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely got offended.
How many times do you think you get asked that a week?
I would be a millionaire if I got $1.
$1
for every time in my life that
every
someone's
what are
asked
you?
me that. Yeah, for whatever, what are you? Like,
Maybe-
on the subway, people would just come up to me like, how do you have the audacity to just come up to a random ass person and say, what are you? Wow, bold.
That's like when people go up to a pregnant lady and touch her belly and they don't know her.
Right.
It's like, why do you think you can touch her belly? Why do you think you can touch my hair? Why do you think you just have rights to know everything about me
label
just
me.
because you're interested in me? You know what I mean?
Totally. I think
But we do need to change. Like, maybe, you guys, we have all these goals for Mix in America, but maybe really it should just be you pay us $1 for every time you ask us a dumbass
statement.
a dumbass question, or like whatever someone's like, what are you? I'm like, I will tell you, but you need to pay
I'ma
me
charge
for
a
every
fee.
I'm gonna charge a fee for every question.
Because of your uncomfortability, right? Because that's what it is. Like, people don't like the unknown. People don't like uncertainty. So they ask that to make themselves feel more comfortable,
Right.
to feel more sure, because they don't like questions that don't have answers.
Well,
So-
and also it's like, for the ethnically ambiguous, right? So for the people that you can't very quickly place them and figure out what their ethnicity is, it's like, oh no, I need to figure out what you are because I need to know how to talk to you. I need to know where you come from, so I don't say some ignorant shit.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to not get in trouble.
Right.
So I feel like that, at least that's for me, is why I'm like confused with people's intense need to know immediately what we are.
Right. And I do think that sometimes people mean it as a compliment a lot of times too, because people are just like, wow, like, you look unique, you look different, you don't fit into the normal boxes that I have already in my mind. You know what I mean? Like, as we are raised and we grow up, we already have these boxes that our mind naturally creates that we put people in, and they see us and they say, I can't put you in one of my boxes, so I think I need to create a new box. What box are you? You know? So
yeah, well, that's like, that's exactly what we opened with.
Right.
Was talking about like when we were little girls, not, that's our experience, but little boy, all mixed people who had to check a box or squeeze themselves into a box when we don't fit into it. We are not just one, but it also doesn't really feel great to just be called other. Like, I don't want to be some ambiguous, like,
alien.
Yes, creature.
Other.
Yeah. It's like, I'm a mixed person.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's complicated. I want to talk about it. I want to be understood. I want people to want to understand. I want people to not look at me as an enigma, and that is why I feel so passionately about, this project and this movement. And because, first of all, I want to talk to other mixed race people.
Right.
Because I don't have all the answers. I have my experience. We've talked a lot about this. Is like putting a voice to a conversation that is deep, deep, deep. And we're not having it. Like, so many people assume that mixed people are just walking this privileged line, and we're just like living our life, like loving to dabble in the black, dabble in the white. Like, we're just like, hey, like we get the best of both worlds, and as true as that can be, and don't worry, everybody, we are going to have a lot of talks and discussions about privilege, and me as a lighter skinned person, like, I want to talk about that. But it is not just that.
Exactly.
Like, mixed people, we have our own set of intense challenge that we're trying to navigate. But since every mixed person turns out so different, we have totally different sets of challenges. So, like, you and I have had so much healing, reconnecting, and talking about our mixed experience. But even ours is totally different. Like, for the listeners, I am fair-skinned. Like, some people can't even tell I'm black. It's, like, very much in my features, my curly hair, and, like, lips, booty, and curls. That's how, like, people can see, can tell that I'm mixed. And Jazmine has darker skin, but, like, to some people, they could call you light bright too.
Absolutely. Oh, and I've definitely gotten that, most definitely.
Yeah.
But it depends on the group, But I definitely think that as much as we talk about privilege, it's like, just because people have privilege doesn't mean we get to ignore the struggle. Everyone has a different set of each of those, and it's unfair to just claim one group as privileged.
Yeah.
That's a very loaded word.
Yeah.
It's basically discrediting anything that anyone's ever gone through that was tough. And that's completely unfair.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just so specific to each case and each shade and each mixed person specifically. Like even how I have a black mother, you have a black father. So like your mother's white, my daddy's white. So we have even the placement of which gender is the minority in the family. It changes everything.
It does change everything.
We've talked so much about our moms and like what just the experience. Like we could talk about hair for days.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, I think one thing that my mom has told me before was like, honestly, I was really nervous about your hair. Like, she was like, I was scared how your hair was going to turn out. And if I would be able to do it, if I would be able to help you do it and tell you how to do it, because she has, you know, stick straight, brunette, white hair, you know? And it's like, she was like, I was nervous. Like, you know, I didn't know how to manage curls and frizziness. So that's definitely a thing in itself, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is the black parent for the listeners, and she's also a beautician. I got lucky AF because, well, even if my mom, you know, wasn't a beautician, she could have tried to perm my hair, relax it. She could have done crazy, and my shit would have fallen out. So, like, I'm so blessed that she really knew how to take care of my hair, but this is so funny. I'm like just now remembering this story. I remember, you know, in elementary school, this teacher pulled me aside. I think I was in like 3rd grade because my mom, you know, black girls, we gotta grease our hair. We have like our shit needs, our shit has to be more, have a lot more moisture. And so my mom would put oils in my hair because I had, you know, always had curly hair, and since my hair can be wavy sometimes, or it's a little more fine textured, like some people will call it, like, you know, I got that good hair, like I got that like white girl hair even, but it's not, it's curly, it's like, it's a mix. And I remember this teacher pulled me aside after class and asked me basically if my parents were bathing me.
What?
Because my mom was putting like moisturizers in my hair. So, but this white woman thought that my shit looked greasy. So, and I guess she didn't realize what the situation was. So she thought that maybe like my parents weren't washing my body or my hair. So I just looked hella greasy. And I was confused. And I didn't even fully grasp it until I went home and told my mom, like, yo, Miss T was saying, like, asking me if you guys, like, I was bathing at home and if everything was okay. Like, I was showing signs of, like, neglect.
Yeah, your mom must have been livid.
Yeah, she was
You know, fun fact, me and Meg actually have known each other since, what, 2nd grade, I think it was?
No, 1st grade.
First grade, yeah. And, so we were in 1st grade together. We were in 2nd grade together.
And Viva Las Vegas, y'all.
Viva Las Vegas.
This
Green
is not a
Valley
boring story.
Area. And, you know, then we got to 3rd grade, and you weren't in my class.
No.
I was the only brown person in my class. And one specific situation that I had kind of a revelation that I was brown and I was different was when we had a new student come in, and he was black. And I was automatically coupled with him. All the kids were like, oh, that's your boyfriend?
Who? Wait, who?
Eddie. You remember Eddie? Eddie, yes. And I was like, what? I don't like him. Like, why are you guys saying this? And I was like, it's weird because I had been trying to get a boyfriend the whole time, you know, and no one was really messing with me. But then
we were prepped to like the Backstreet Boys. Like, I actually remember in, I think it was a fourth grade. We were in the same class, right?
Yeah,
like
Miss Tarno.
Miss Tarno. Shout out Miss Tarno. And Wait, did we date the same boy?
We absolutely did.
It was Bobby Shiroki.
We dated
I'm
the
sorry, I'm
same-
outing him. Are we allowed to do that?
oh,
Well, we just
shoot.
outed you. Shout out, Bobby. Like, you were like the Justin Timberlake of Gibson Elementary.
Oh, blonde hair, blue eyes. It was like,
He was the hottest.
stereotypical all-American.
Justin Bieber before Justin Bieber was there. Okay.
Yes.
And we dated him
Happily.
at the same time. No, at the same time.
At the same time,
there was like a
aware
wait
of it.
list.
Like,
There was like
was
a wait list for Bobby Shiroki, and we were like, well, you know what I remember he used to do? Rate the girls. He used to be like, your girlfriend number
Oh
one.
my! I
But
forgot
your girlfriend
about
number
that.
two. I feel like I was girlfriend number two, and I'm sure it had to be a white girl who was number one,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh,
and then, or
most
maybe
definitely.
you and I were like 2 and 2.5.
2.5.
But I remember walking down,
remember
like
that too.
like we were in this, like, I don't know, in like the backyard court or something, and we were both holding his hand.
Right, and he was like literally we took turns like kissing him on the cheek. I
Yes,
specifically
I remember that.
Like,
but so like,
what?
like, are y'all hearing this? This is like polyamory before it was like even a thing. Like, mixed people are hella ahead of their time. Like, we were
Hella woke.
open-minded AF, but this is kind of creepy. Like, I'm a little embarrassed and a little impressed at the same time.
I'm not sure how to feel about it, to be honest.
Yeah. So, Bobby, you were lucky, my friend.
Blessed.
Blessed be.
So, I kind of have a question for you, Megan. Like, how was your family dynamic? Because I know it was different than mine, being that our black parent was of
Swapped,
opposite
yeah.
gender. So I'm definitely interested in hearing about your family dynamic.
Yeah. Well, I guess, first I'll paint the picture visually for people listening. My mom is black, my dad is white, and then I have 2 brothers, and that's my immediate family. But my brothers, I don't know, you must remember this, Jazz, but so one of my brothers is my half brother, David, and that's my older brother. He's like 15 years older than me. And then Ryan is my full brother. David is full black because my mom, was with one other person when she was really young, got pregnant, had my brother, then met my dad. And my dad adopted my brother David. So David is full black, big brolic ass, like 6 foot, muscly, big black man. And Ryan he kind of looks like a spitting image of me.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. He actually kind of looks more traditionally white than me.
I agree.
Like,
yeah.
right? Like,
Mhm.
because I have, like, the long curly hair and, like, you can just, like, see the features a little bit easier on a woman in our family situation. But I mean, our family was just confused, honey. Like, it just looked crazy. People thought that my mom was my dad's mistress. People didn't know what to think. People were like, who is David? Like, David was so tall and big. And my mom, black don't crack. My mom's gorgeous. So people ended up thinking sometimes that my mom and her son were they didn't know that they were, that was her son. They were like, oh, you two are married. Who's this white man? He's just, I don't know who he is. Like, what's going on? It was just so weird and
Complex.
Confused. And,
Yeah.
I actually remember, like, the first time that I even recognized that David was my half-brother.
Mm.
And I was, like, 12 years old before I even knew. And I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, like, why is David so black? He's so dark, and he does not look like Dad.
Yeah.
Because my dad is, like, he is a shorter man, and he's very handsome. He looks like Don Johnson and John Bon Jovi had a baby, and, like, that's my dad for you. Like, very Miami, hilarious, Joe Pesci type. And, like, he does not look like my brother because they are not blood related.
Mhm.
And so I remember being like, Mom, what is up with that? And she, in the car, on the way to picking my dad up from the airport, explained to me, well, he's not your full brother by blood. He's your half brother, and this is what happened. But I remember that, I remember what that was like for my mom to have to,
Mhm.
kind of dig up those wounds and
Yeah.
talk about what that was, because she was left by my brother's father.
Right.
So that was deeply painful, and the fact that my dad never made David feel like it was like that is his son.
That's beautiful.
So much so
Yeah.
that I didn't even know.
Right.
Because
right.
like we were saying, like I didn't grow up thinking of the difference. I was like, this is my family and we got a lot of different shades up in us. So like I remember it being a really big deal when I realized my brother was my half brother.
I mean, as children, you don't question that other families aren't like yours because this is the only example really you have of a family right now. And so you don't understand that this is a very unique situation, as all family situations are. You know, every family is so unique, and we're just dealing with some more racial topics, and we don't even know and recognize until those moments.
And it happens young. Like, you know, I look back and I just, you know, I remember these big, like, moments in my childhood where it was like, ding, 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 you're different. Like, I remember, you know, my friend being like, you're adopted. Did you know that? Like, this bitch was telling me I'm adopted. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, because your mom is super brown and you're super white. You're adopted. And I was like, word? Like, what? I'm adopted?
I had no idea.
And I was like, I specifically remember my mother telling me that I came from her. Like, what's going on? So I went to my mom furious that night. And I, like, reamed her. I was like, girl, am I adopted? Marissa told me I'm adopted. Like, you better tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. My mom had to get pictures and be like, this is your birth, girl.
Right,
like, I did not believe
you came
her.
from this body.
Yes. And she was like, little, my mom, because she calls me little girl, even to this day.
Sweet.
She was like, little girl, you know, because my mom and I used to stand in front of the mirror, and this is like, I think this is really beautiful, but when I was super little, she would we would stand in front of the mirror and like butt naked, and we would point at like our belly buttons because they're the exact same, and our knees.
That's super cute.
Yeah, just like really sweet things. And
tender.
It was her way of being like, we are so similar.
Yeah.
Like look at our bodies.
Yeah.
Like just the craziest little things.
I mean, and that's so beautiful because you were taught like, love the black in you almost, you know? Like,
love it.
You see that we are the same. We may be a different shade, but we are the same.
Yes, you
and
come
love it.
from me. And I just remember, like, that was the start of people trying to tell me who I am. And they don't know anything about it. And, of course, that girl was, like, totally innocent and young, and she was just coming from what she has been taught.
Her own confusion.
Her own lack of knowledge. But that was the stuff that really, that's like those, you know, those deep, we've talked about these deep wounds, this pain that I'm forever trying to heal.
Right.
Like, people telling me that I'm not black. That was absolutely.
Like, it's a trigger now.
Yeah.
You know, because of those early moments.
Yeah, it's one of the first times that someone's denying me my blackness.
Right.
And my mom, you know, my mama is like the queen of everything.
Yes, she's an amazing woman.
Yeah, just the smartest, dopest woman I know. So, like, for people to try to, you know, take away any part of her from me is deeply painful.
So hurtful. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think like shade was a big thing in my family dynamic because, you know, I have two younger brothers, and one of them is my complexion, a little darker, you know, and then my youngest brother, Xavier, is lighter skinned. And that was kind of a moment for me because I remember when he was born. I was about 6 or 7 when he was born, and I remember when he was born, and I remember looking at this white baby, and I was like, what? Like, what? You know, and he got older, and he's still white, and it was just like, it was fascinating to me that we came from the same parents but look so drastically different. And I think his experience as being a mixed race person was different because of that, you know? Yeah. And maybe he felt a little outcasted because me and my brother were of a similar shade and he wasn't. And I think it was complicated in that way. Yeah. And that was definitely our family dynamic, was just the shade differences.
Right. This is something we've talked about, you know, is shadeism is a real topic, and, you know, something that we really need to dive into and define for people,
Right.
and because it's a real way that people judge, and they
Absolutely.
stop there. So wait, so tell them about your parents, because your parents are so, I mean, they were just like, I have such a clear image of your
Yeah.
parents. They were just so, I mean, for people listening, they're just so banging.
They're
Like,
rock
I just
stars.
remember their
They're
gorgeous
rock
mama
stars. Yeah.
and your like hot pops just being so badass.
Yes. I mean, oh yeah, I look up to them, because they obviously, their love is tough. It wasn't accepted fully.
Yeah.
In their own families and in America. And so I have a really beautiful example of a very strong love that said love over everything, regardless of what people say, regardless of how people think. And they really taught us to put family first because of that, to protect us. Like, this is your family, this is blood, and people aren't going to understand that we're different. They're not going to understand why we look different. They're not going to understand how we love each other but look so different. And they really put a focus on that family dynamic and that family love to keep us safe, really. It was more for protection, I felt like, more than anything. Like, you need to make sure we have a strong core because the world may not accept you. For sure. So, yeah, my parents are great examples of that. And they come from two very different worlds, too. My mom is from Canada.
Oh.
She's not even from America. Yeah, so she's from Canada. And
Yo,
grew up,
I did not know that.
Yeah, she's from Canada. Grew up in a Mormon culture, too.
Wow,
yeah.
Shout out to the Canadians and the Mormons.
Canadian Mormon. And so that's a whole other topic. Comes to America, then finds her this beautiful black man from Kentucky, the dirty South.
Shout out Dirty South.
Two very clashing cultures, but found love in that. And they're still happily married today, and made 3 beautiful children out of it. And that's kind of my backstory for that.
And people don't understand, man. Like, what our parents went through was real. Like, that was the real deal.
What?
Yo, like, it is
It's much easier now.
Oh, yeah. Well, people now are like, yes, interracial coupling.
Right.
Like,
before then, it was like,
yes, we got
what?
the Kardashians, like, making shit hyphy
Right.
now. It's like, well, no, honeys. It was not always like
our parents were trailblazers in that way.
That is right. Well, we've talked a lot about our mothers too, and like, my mom, people thought that she was the maid.
Mm-hmm.
They were like,
oh, yeah.
Look at you making your money watching these white babies. she was like, excuse me, I birthed all 3, honey, and I felt those pains, and I'm still feeling
my
them.
mom for sure has told me how annoyed she would be when people would think she was the babysitter for me, And she also had me really young, so she looked young, and she has this little brown baby in her stroller, and they're like, oh, you're babysitting? She's like, yeah, my own kid, like.
Just being a mom.
Just being a mom.
Yeah, I think I'm realizing more and more every day, like, the sacrifices that they made for love, and how people just don't understand how hard it is. And
Totally.
like, I'm thinking about this all the time with like the challenges even now that come with when I date a white man versus when I date a black man, and like how hard it is regardless, because it's gonna come with some.
Regardless, they don't see one side of you, possibly, Yeah. So it's gonna come with some explaining, some teaching, because it's just people don't get it unless they've lived through it, until they've heard it, until they've seen another perspective.
Right. That's what I'm thirsty for, is like,
agreed.
I want this to be so big. I want Mix in America to be so big that I'm like, we can make a damn Bumble for mixed people. Like, do you feel like you need to date a biracial person?
So they get you.
Yeah, so that you don't got to explain a certain side. We got you.
We got you covered.
But, like, I'm, like, slightly joking. I'm like, I'm about to put a patent on that idea. But, like, just to, to feel heard and to feel like I can have this conversation for real, because, unfortunately, like that's something that's a reality. Is like our parents don't understand what it is to be mixed.
Yeah.
My mom understands what it's like to be a black woman, and my father understands what it's like to be a white man who had to protect a mixed family.
Right.
And so of course he felt that racism much more than your average everyday white man.
Right.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And I love him forever for how strong he's been. But like, to be a mixed person, to have two cultures within you, to deal and to feel that pull, to feel split into two, you know, that is the wound that I want to mend, I think.
Yeah.
For like our mixed brothers and sisters.
So what are some offensive terms people have used about you, towards you? Yeah, give me the good stuff, Nick. Give me the good stuff.
I've been called lots of things. Did you know? I didn't even know that mulatto was a bad word.
Oh, that was definitely one that I've been.
My mom called me mulatto.
Oh, yeah.
She said, "Get your mulatto butt out here," and I was like, "Okay, Mom.
Absolutely.
That sounds like an ice cream."
Are you kidding me?
So now I know. But no, real talk. Like, I will never forget when I got called a honky nigger.
Ooh.
In my neighborhood, girl.
What?
There was some mean white boys in
That's
my
mean.
neighborhood. So rude. And like everybody knew I was mixed. Like, I had experienced like definitely some racism, but I don't even think I was aware of it yet.
Right.
And I remember like these boys were being so mean to me, and like I've always been feisty, so I was like, "Shut up, stupid!"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Well, F you, honky nigger."
Oh, wow.
And I know y'all heard that hard R too.
Right.
Like, I will never forget the way it echoed.
Right.
Like, throughout the neighborhood, and I was just like, hit in the gut.
Oh, man.
So I ran home, like, crying to my mom. I was like, "He called me a honky nigger." And my mom was like, started laughing at me.
Okay,
the
I was
cackles are
that.
real.
The
I know you're over here like, real talk, girl. I'm sorry for you.
No,
wounds,
I
but
was
that's
gonna
funny.
say because no, not that it's funny, but that's the way my parents handled things as well. Like, I feel like we made jokes about us being mixed to prevent us from allowing other people to use that as a knife against us.
Yeah.
So that my dad would call us high yellow, you know, like, right? Like, as a joke, and we would talk about, oh, we're burnt crackers and stuff, like, and make it a joke. So that way, when someone did say that to me, it was kind of like, well, I've already called myself that, and I joke about it.
Well,
so,
it's like you've got to find some humor in this tragedy. But I feel like she was beside herself because, of course, my mom's been called nigger, you know, her whole life.
Right.
And so, like, she's used to that. But to, like, she saw her little girl, like, in tears say, like, honky nigger, she was cracking up. She was like, wait. He had the
what?
She started laughing. Her first words were, "He couldn't choose one."
Right.
Like, she thought that shit was so funny. And I was like, this is so funny. Like, you know, it's like, this is so rude. Like, most people just get called cracker or honky or, like, stick with nigger or stick with burnt.
Right.
Like, no.
We're doubled up.
Yeah, you're giving me Oreo.
Right.
Like, that's a whole other level of offensive terms. So, what about you? I mean, I've been called so many.
Yeah, mulatto was a big one. Mutt, I think, was probably one that was used a lot. And I'm like, okay, that's what you call dogs.
Did it offend
Mixed
you?
dogs.
You got offended? Oh,
I got offended from I didn't get offended from mulatto.
Okay.
For some reason. I don't know. I guess, yeah, it sounded kind of cool.
I'd call myself a mutt. I
didn't like mutt. That was like, you're calling me a dog, a type of dog, you know? Like,
Truth.
So I saw through that one. But most other ones, like I said, like, they didn't really offend me because we made such jokes about them, like, within our family. You know what I mean?
You
because
owned it first. Yeah, you were like, let me call it out first.
Yeah,
so
like,
that it's not, I don't let them
it's a joke
make it a
in our
nasty
family.
term.
Yeah.
What about yellow? I remember, like, watching an interview from Eartha Kitt, who is, like, one of my big idols, and she was talking about what it's like being a yellow woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like, I'm yellow. Yes, I am yellow. Like, I like that term. Like, how do you feel about that?
I feel like I've never. My brother got yellow more than I did.
Xavier, the
yeah,
lighter one.
yes, he got yellow more than I did, and I guess I'd be interested to see what he thought about it. But to me, it didn't really affect me just because I was like, not really accurate, but okay. Like,
yeah, like,
know,
I'm mocha.
I'd be like, I'm caramel.
Yeah,
like,
you're giving me caramel.
I would make it way sexier. I'm like, I am caramel. Like,
right, you're giving me chai frappuccino, extra whip.
Like, no.
Right.
You know?
I'm giving you vanilla bean with some caramel swirl, maybe a little, some chocolate
I'm like,
sprinkles.
Get it right, okay?
Damn.
No, but I actually think it brings up an interesting topic is like tanning.
Ooh. Don't get me started.
We lived in Vegas, so extremely sunny. And you could get brown. I could get brown in a second. When it was summer, I instantly got like 5 shades darker.
Yeah.
And a part of me would like avoid the sun because I didn't want to be too dark.
Yeah.
Because it was like I got made fun of more when I was darker. And so it was kind of like I felt uncomfortable. So I would stay out of the sun purposely and try to be lighter, to be more accepted. And that was 100% a thing. And see, my younger brother, he kind of more burns, doesn't really get darker. So that wasn't really a thing for him. And so like just noticing those differences, I didn't even realize I did that until I look back at my experience and realize, like, wow, I was, like, trying not to tan.
I am the opposite, girl. Like,
right.
Literally, I could not throw on the oil enough. And I was like, I hardly ever burn. So I'd be like,
right.
Sunscreen, what's that? Like,
yeah.
I, you know what's interesting is tanning has been such a crazy, it's like a trigger. You said the word, and it triggered me because
it's a trigger.
I'm an actress for the listeners, and you know, the roles that the industry tries to put in front of you as a mixed woman is really intense, and like I'm gonna get into that in a lot of ways moving forward. But you know, my reps literally told me like, listen, you're light.
Yeah.
You're in New York. It's the concrete jungle. Like, you get hella pasty in the winter.
Yeah.
And you still got auditions. She's like, they know that you're mixed because we tell them that. But, like, you're not sealing the deal. Oh, yeah. I had to listen to my manager say, like, I'm really sorry, but, like, I don't know what you need. Like, maybe you could tan in a bed or, like, just, like, make sure you're a little more brown, like, year-round. Because I get dark in the summer, but, like, you know, that's a whole thing is, like, the roles that the industry wants you to play, like, they want you to prove it. And I'm like, excuse me, why do I need to prove my blackness to executive producers that are white men? I gotta prove my blackness to you, but what it is I don't check these boxes enough for them. They're like, ooh, I don't know.
100%. And I've definitely
the network really wants it to be a black girl.
Right.
And I'm
so
like,
prove that you're black.
Yeah. And I'm like, so I need to go get cancer in these tanning beds just because like you guys don't believe that I'm black enough? Like, but you best believe I be trying to hit up that sun because I'm trying to get that paycheck. But that's the reality. And it's like, I don't want it to be that way.
Totally.
I don't want to have to do, and like, I'm sick that I can't represent black culture.
Right.
Like, but like, you also don't let me represent, I'm not white either.
Right.
So like, what am I supposed to do in this industry? But you better believe I got an interesting perspective. But y'all don't want to hear that. Who's writing for that? Shout out to the people writing for mixed people. I haven't met you, but hit me up.
We're looking for you.
I'm looking for you.
For sure.
We got the Insecure right here, HBO, mixed girl style. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had the polar opposite experience in that way because I am darker skinned, and so it was like almost I was fighting to still be allowed to claim my whiteness. You know, because if I was too dark, then they're going to be like, why do you talk like that? Or, you know, you can't say those types of things. That's so white of you, you know? And it was like, wait, what? Like, you know, so it was almost like I was fighting to claim that side too. Because it was like, okay, you look at me, you can, you know, I'm not just white. You're never going to assume that.
Right.
But, you can assume that I'm just black if, you know, if I'm a little darker, or you
Or
just
if you're
don't
dumb.
know, or if you're
If you're dumb.
ignorant. So yeah, I was definitely fighting like the other way, just to kind of be accepted, obviously, in the community that we grew up in.
Yeah, it's like, girl, you better stay in the shade. You trying to look like Beyonce black,
Right.
right?
Like,
Right?
I'm trying to stay that caramel
Yeah,
color, like,
yeah,
you know,
it's
and it's like, it's
we're
so
not ready
terrible.
for Nina Simone black.
Right.
We don't want to we don't want that. We want Beyonce black.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was growing up in Green Valley, but when I moved to New York, that was when I first started embracing my color, and I tanned like no other.
Yes, thank you,
I
New
laid
York.
out in the grass because I got compliments from people walking up to me saying, I love your skin color. And I'm like I never felt that appreciation for the darkness of my skin until I moved to a more diverse, mixed place. And so then I was loud and proud tanning, like, ooh, I need to get darker. Like, I need to show off this beautiful black skin that I felt like I never was allowed to show off. So,
oh, that makes me so upset, man. Like, I have this dear friend, shout out to Andrew Manning, and I remember when he got praised. I can't remember even who did it. I just remember his reaction when he was someone, it was a white person went up to him. They were like, your skin is so beautiful. And I remember how he was shook.
honestly, that's like the most touching compliment sometimes.
Yes.
Especially because when you're dealing with it, you know, we're dealing with that insecurity. It's like, wow, you love this? You know?
Yeah,
you
you're
love
like, you think this
color
is
of me?
beautiful?
Right.
Like, and he has such dark, beautiful skin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, we have, speaking of the Mormon culture,
Right.
like a peoples who used to say the darker the sin, I mean, the darker the skin, the more the sin.
Right.
So that's that old shit.
Yeah,
that's like
ingrained
people.
in
Yeah, it's
people, yeah.
ingrained in us.
In the history.
To feel like, ooh, or like when you know what I mean? You see someone extra dark, and you're like, oh, it's like you associate it
Right.
with like darkness as an evil, or
Right.
it's no good. It's like, what is this? We gotta dig
fix this.
some shit up and
We gotta
figure out
fix
what's
this.
going on.
Right.
Like, this is a problem. But well, your skin is so beautiful,
And your skin is
girl.
beautiful.
Thanks. But I do want a tan kind of.
Let's go tanning, girl.
Okay.
The sun. I need some sun. That vitamin D.
That's right. But I'm not doing it for you, industry.
Nope.
Like, I can tell all the stories
Mm-hmm.
with myself. I don't need this
Right.
fake bake.
Right. And that's what I feel like I'm finally at a point. It's like, wow, I'm tanning now just for the pure fact that, like, I like the way the sun feels. I like to be a little darker. Like, I'm not doing it for anybody else but myself now. And that's when I realized, like, I am comfortable in my skin color now.
Oh, so I love that.
Let's unpack it in everybody else, you know, let's get to the dirt because it's a journey.
I don't
you
think
know?
I'm there. I really, I admire that. And I think that's why, like, you're such a healing person for me to be working with, because, like, I do not feel proud of my skin yet. Like, I feel a lot of, like, guilt over it. I'm really nervous about it, especially with like black people, because I don't want to trigger like full black people at all. So I get really nervous. And then I have a lot of anger towards white people, especially in like various industries, because I'm sick of being of not being able to tell that story. And I know I can't tell the same stories in black culture like fully. I don't know what it's like to not be able to turn off your black, if you will. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, totally.
I can go into some grocery stores and people don't have any idea what's going on with me. Whereas, like, my mom can't turn it off.
Right.
She is black through and through, no matter what. So, like, I recognize that, and that's something I am obviously very aware of. But I have blackness in me, and I don't want it to be something that people deny me of and act like I don't understand and try to act like I don't experience racism.
Right.
You know, because I do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Don't tell me what I go through, you know? Like, don't tell me what I've been through.
Yeah, and you know what? Please don't focus on what I can't say, and ask me what I can say.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's like, I really want to be able to share that perspective, to share what it's like to not feel like what, it's all what we're talking about, what it's like to not be claimed fully by either side, but to really desire the understanding of both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and then to be uplifted for the wholeness of what we are, which is something different.
Totally.
It's mixed race.
It's different.
It's mixed
Yep,
race.
it's mixed in America.
Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in with us. This is just the beginning of a huge conversation. We have some really cool guests lined up, some important topics that drive this conversation forward and highlight the various mixed perspectives in America. We want to hear from you and learn about your story.
Yes. So if you have questions, comments, if you want to share your story, be on our show, please reach out to us. You can contact us via email at info@mixedinamerica.org. Follow us on Instagram at mixed_in_America. And also visit our website at mixedinamerica.org.
And remember, you are all beautiful. Every shade is stunning, honey.
Yes.
I'm Meagan Kimberly Smith.
And I'm Jazmine Jarvis.
Bye till next time, y'all.
See you guys.